Hey everybody, how we doing today? Dark and stormy day here in the Florida Keys, but that makes a perfect day to catch up on some projects. And today we are actually going to be working on the last project for the solo skiff before I write it off as done, or the main thing's done. And in order to work on this, I need to work on my other kayak. So let me show you what we're doing. So today we are actually going to be working on electronics for the solo skiff, and that is going to entail taking my Lawrence Hook 5 fish finder slash chart plotter and moving it over to the solo skiff. One of the main reasons for the solo skiff is being able to go into the backcountry outside edges during the winter time for sea trout and mackerels, as well as to fish the different banks and channels and structure that are out there in kind of like no man's land. What I need to do, because it is no man's land, I'm not navigating by any of the islands or so forth, is that I need a chart plotter to mark positions where certain channels are, structure, high spot, low spots, edges, etc. on a chart plotter, so I can make it out there, find those spots and be very efficient about it, as well as to be able to track and mark new spots. This is my Hobie Red, which is my offshore kayak, versus my blue, which is my general everyday go-to do everything. I built the red one just specifically for offshore. I mated it with one of my brand new Suzuki 2.5s, which I primarily just use it for offshore for the reliability of being able to make it back, since I'm going 15-20 miles out. But this guy I just strictly use for reef and offshore, so that's why I had a fish finder. The other two, because I'm doing inshore stuff, I can navigate by the islands, I know where everything's at, it's not a big deal. But because I'm going to be going to the backcountry, specifically into the areas back over here northeast of Big Pine, a lot of these areas out in these areas. Let me see if I can back the chart off pretty far. There we go. So that is the Big Pine area, and then out in this area here in no man's land, where basically the edge drops off, these are the outer edges of the islands. And then you've got these open basins here, but it's still flats. There's a lot of channels and banks and cuts and everything in there. So they're fish magnet areas, as well as, like, see, there's a wreck out there. So, but in order to find those, I need to use this chart plotter to help me find specific positions that I can load into them, as well as I'm out there prospecting, I find a spot, I could just mark it, because everything is below water and I can't use my usual way of just navigating by the islands in US 1. So we're going to be pulling out this one, because this one is having problems in deep water, and this is my deep water kayak, but I think it's the transducer is messed up. I have a 5200 hertz transducer, which should let me go to 1,000 feet, but at those 500-600 foot it starts breaking up. So this still works with the GPS, and I could do tracks, and I'm still in fairly shallow water. So even though I won't use the actual depth sounder works fine in shallow water, so it'll work great there. But the main thing that this will allow me to do is to plot course, put in marks so I can go to them specifically and just be able to navigate without any thoroughfares. So we're going to pull out the transducer cable, the power cable, the battery box, the fish finder, and move those to the solo skiff. So that's the project. So what I've done is that I basically hooked everything up, make sure that it is all working fine, fires up good. I've had really good luck with this specific, not model, Lawrence in general, but this unit has survived my going out and about. No water, so it's just pinging off of nothing, but that's okay. I don't really need it to, but I think it'll work fine. So let me strip this down, and then we'll see what we're gonna do with it on the solo skiff. All right, I've got this thing rigged up. I found one of my original mounts. I don't use these on my kayaks, but unfortunately I saved it, so I've got the base. Went ahead and just screwed that in there. I think I'm just going to run it like this for now, just to get a test run in, make sure it works how I think it should work. I'm not going to run the transducer on it because I really don't necessarily need the transducer. I just want the mapping option and the tracking, and allowing me to put waypoints. If that works, then I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and then cut this off, put one of my universal wire ends that I've got all my electronics utilizing in here. So all of them have the male and female of this style. So this one goes for my live well, and then I've got another one over here which is for my lights, and then I could do the same thing, put the same ends on for the power of the fish finder, and that'll get us going. But for now I think I could do a test run, just leaving it attached like that, and then taking it out there and make sure it works, and then I'll just wire it in, because I need to drill a hole through here, run the wire through, then put the end on it, and then I could use any of the other two batteries. I've got a small portable one, I've got the bigger battery pack one, and then I could actually wire this box up with the female end with this one. This is a 9 amp hour, and utilize that for whatever I want as well. Or if I want to have the live well on a separate circuit, the lights on a separate circuit, and the fish finder on a separate circuit, I could do it. But generally these don't draw a lot of power, the lights and this, so I could run them on that small battery and be fine. But yeah, I think we're set up for a test run. And the reason why I ended up putting it on this side rather than that side, where it will be more useful, is that this is the side that I swing my legs around to start the motor and get to the center. This side I don't really utilize it for much of anything except the anchor trolley, so I went ahead and put it here, because I did the same thing there, then my leg or foot would constantly be hitting it when I'm trying to swing over, so I try to keep that somewhat clear. But that's the only reason. It's kind of not the best, because usually I'll be sitting that way, sitting forward, and then I have to look to the right to steer. But the adjustments that I'm going to be making on the water is not going to be that much. I'm just looking for a huge channel that's running through, so it's not going to be very minute changes that I'll be constantly looking at this. So that is why. All right, since we've got a nice rainy day, I came and go out and test the fish finder here for the solo skiff. I've got the mount on there, so that's ready. I just got to plop it on, attach the battery, and then I should be able to use just the GPS. But since I've got the time, I'm going to set up using the transducer. Now this is actually a 5200 hertz transducer, good for deep waters, what I had it on my offshore kayak, good to 1,000 foot plus. Unfortunately, the way I mounted it, because I didn't want external drag on the kayak, I did internal. I did a water well system where you basically get some hard cell foam, closed cell foam, glue it to the bottom of the kayak. When I'm ready to go out, I fill this full of water, drop this in there, and then the thin piece of plastic of the kayak doesn't really interfere, and then it works like normal. The problem with it is that no glue really sticks to the kayaks or very well for very long, so it just peels off. So I wasn't having water stability to keep that underwater, and I think what happened is that I overheated it by not having it submerged in the water. So it still works in shallow water, which is where I'm going to be using this, mainly for the GPS, but also when I find those little channels and stuff, I could look for little structure parts, and then maybe going out to the Gulf a bit, it'd be good to be able to at least see the bottom in deeper spots. So this should still work good enough for that, since I did have shallow water readings. But I don't have the ability to internal mount this in the solo skiff, because it's got a thicker shell and then another 1/2 inch of foam, or I don't know, insulation on the inside, so it's just way too thick to send a signal through. So I've been thinking that I had such good luck with my underwater bully netting lights using a PVC setup, utilizing our standard rod holder. It drops down, I could swivel it back up, I could cruise around at a decent clip, and even with this thicker tube, it doesn't flex, it doesn't bend, it doesn't put a lot of stress on the mount on the rod mount. So I figure maybe I'll just transition that over to my transducer, since I'm not going to be using, I'd never use a fish finder in the backcountry, so it's going to be just those rare occasions I go out there that I'll have the fish finder. So I'm not wanting to permanently mount the transducer where it's always there, and cables and all that stuff. So what I think I'll do is an external one, like my light setup. I've got an extra mount where I could put the rod holder in, then do another, basically this, a 90 right out of the rod holder straight down, except I'm going to use reducers to get this down to a 3/4 inch PVC, and then I'm going to make the head an adapter that I could bolt the transducer to. So these are all the pieces. This is the 90, this is a reduction, that'll reduce it, bam, 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 and then the this I'll make an adapter that will pinch onto the transducer, and all will be done. Then when I want to mount it, I'll leave it with the rod holder, because I think I'm going to cut this down a little shorter, and then just leave this all permanently together as one piece. So whenever I'm going to use it, I just drop it in the rod holder, run the line to the fish finder, and it's working. When I don't want to use it, I just have it stored separately. So that's the plan. So just time to build it now. So I think I'm going to use these. These are just Scotty rod holders that I haven't used for anything. And this is a quick release setup, so it's just snaps in and it's in there. It's very solid. It mounts to my wheels setup, and then I'll just do a 90 and then straight down. But I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I want it to go straight down right next to the kayak, basically. So I think I'm going to trim this down, so I have that 90 will start over there and then drop straight down here, so it keeps it as close in as possible. I'd like to butt it right into this pocket right here, so it could butt up against that, but this thing, it doesn't have too much pressure to twist. But that's going to be the rod holder setup already done. Plus this, since it's got the slider here, I can loosen it and move it in and out, so I don't have to be perfectly the correct exact length. I just need to get a ballpark, and then I can adjust it front or back so it tucks right against the edge there. So that is that. And then when I'm done with it, it just twists and one hand just pops out. So that's the other thing I like, just quick and easy. Just going to cut the rod holder to length. Bam. So when I put the 90-degree on, it basically points down to the edge of the solo skiff. So, and then like I said, I've got flex room in and out by the adapter moving over, so I don't have to be perfect. All right, so I think I've got it all set up, fine-tuned. I went ahead and cut it down there, adjusted it in, so I got it right there. What I'm going to target is to put it right in this little pocket here, so it butts up against the arm here and the rail here. And then when I butt this against it, we're touching on all three sides there, and it locks it in. That's exactly what I was wanting to do. the clearancing on this and this, so it didn't hit here or here, was very important as well. That took a few different sizes, but it clears there, so it's not sticking out unnecessarily. But yeah, I think we're good there. So I'll make this section here, put the pin through it, glue it all together, bolt it all together. Then I'll just have to have the smaller length and the adapter to the transducer left. So nice. All right, there we go. Went ahead and inserted it into the rod holder, pinned it so it's mounted on there. Then to get the transducer straight, perpendicular with the water there, I went ahead and just heated the PVC with a heat gun, and then just put a little bend to it. That gives me my angle there. So just letting it cool down. Then I'm actually going to make it shorter here, because I really don't need it too far below. Probably the water line's here, so anywhere around the bottom there will be fine, and we should be good. So now I just have to adapt the mount to this bottom piece here. I think I'm just going to cut some slits out of it, insert it, heat it, and sandwich it, and then run a bolt through it. So that should work. But yeah, I was wondering how I was going to get that bend out of there, but that worked out perfect. Now, since I ripped the old Lawrence off my red kayak, which is my offshore kayak, in order to use for the solo skiff that we're working on now, this is pretty much the last piece of the pie for the solo skiff. Then it's pretty much done. So I'm going to be able to go revert back to the kayaks again. And I do need to have a fish finder / GPS / depth sounder for the red one in particular. The blue kayak inshore stuff, I don't use a fish finder or GPS or anything, but for the red kayak I definitely do need it. So I went out and bought this guy. Bam! It is a hook reveal, well, it's a Lawrence hook reveal 5 triple shot. So it is the 5-inch screen, much smaller. They went to a wide screen versus my square, because I have the Hook 5 Lawrence, which is, I bought it 7 or 8 years ago. I still use it, but it's a more square screen, but I don't know, whatever. And this also is the triple shot version, so you have to have the triple shot transducer. Unfortunately, it's the totally wrong setup for my offshore kayak. That one is primarily for the reef and out 25 miles, which is my sweet spot is 300 to 750 foot, and that's basically 12 to 25 miles out. And those depths, this doesn't work. This maxes out at like 300 feet, and then the side scan is less than that. And I'm not really side scanning in blue water, so it's kind of useless for that. But I can easily get the 5200 hertz transducer, and then I'm back to 1500 foot depths and still use with this. I figured I would do this because it does a side scan, and we've got bridges, and then the reef line along the Marathon Big Pine corridor is a extreme drop off. It's a cliff. So I want to be able to work that reef line with the side scan and see if that is helpful or not. And we'll see how it goes. But otherwise, just to give you a heads up, I ripped out the old system, put it on the solo skiff. This is going to be my replacement. This is last generation's. The new one, I think, is the Eagle, the HD, and the Elite, Lawrence's newest ones. And they're all crazy expensive, and I don't really need anything. I just need to know bottom configurations. So this is the prior generation, the Reveal, and with the hook triple shot system. So I could backtrack and put a regular transducer, but you can't put the triple shot transducer on the regular head because it doesn't have the internals to read the side scan and so forth. So that's why I did that, even though it's not useful for me. But I'll be doing a separate video about this since it's for my red kayak, so I can start getting out and do some blue water stuff now that the solo skiff will be wrapping things up. But just an FYI, and keep an eye out for that if you're interested. Well, we've got about an hour, a little more than an hour. Suns came out, rain's finally stopped after a week of just raining. So I'm going to take this guy over and test out those electronics to make sure they even work. Especially since before I start drilling and running the power cord into the inside here. So throw the straps on it and we shall go. Only good thing, I've been able to catch up on some other projects, putting a frame within a frame within a frame, so I could put a hurricane sheet inside there. The frame itself was too big, so I couldn't put a sheet in there and support it, but I ended up doing that, and that thing should hold a couple of sheets without a problem. But anyways, let's get going here before the sun sets. All right, we launched at the local boat ramp. Got everything set up. However, there's where I launched. Here's the tracks. So that part works great. That's important. There. So that will show me where I've been, as well as backing out where I want to go, and help me to find stuff. Now the problem is we're not at 216 feet. We're at maybe 8 feet, 5 feet. So this transducer is toast. I thought I could still use it for shallow water stuff, but yeah, that's not working. Not working. So I'm gonna play around a little bit. I did bring it up and I could hear it clicking. And I did go through and clean up the pins just to see. You can hear it click. But it's just not reading, so something is bad. Most likely that transducer cooked itself when I had it in my kayak and it wasn't underwater or in water, so it overheated. But let me play around a little bit more with this, since I went ahead and built this transducer thing, and it works great. It's solid, and like I showed, I could swing it up if it catches weeds or when I'm on the run pretty easily. Like that. You can lock it in and just kind of have it out of the way, out of the water. Oh, 20.6, that'd be more reasonable. But I'm almost thinking, since I do have the mount built already, and then the basic transducer style is cheap, you can get them for like 50 bucks. This one cost over 150. That at least, oh, what do we got there? That's right. I don't know what the hell all this color stuff is going on. There's my tracks. So that's still working. GPS is not a problem. Alright, but 3.7, that seems about right. I don't know what this trippy color tones are. I don't know. Let me run around a little bit. The other thing is I forgot my paddle, so this is my paddle. So luckily the motor's running good. I'm doing a reset. See if that helps any. Yeah, I'm down in, way down in Florida. Yep, I'm there. Wonder if it erased all my tracks. I didn't save that track, so yeah, I probably erased it. 10.6 feet. Huh. Maybe. I don't know. Alright, let's drive around and see if, well, it's reading it. Ah, it seems to be working. I don't know how accurate it is. That's creating a little bit more drag than I'd like to see, but most of the time I'm not going to be running very fast. Yeah, maybe that reset might have fixed it. I think it's working. Or maybe not. That doesn't look right, those humps. I know there's a shallow bar around here, but well, seems somewhat reasonable. 2 feet. I mean, it's a little bit shallower, I think, but 1.6 seems to be reading. I think all the weeds and stuff are interfering there, but I'll get out in some open water and we'll do a little bit more testing. But the main thing is just knowing the GPS works. So here's the transducer mount. I already got the fish finder, the cable's hooked up, so it's all about just dropping it in there and snaps in, and that's it. Sitting level with the water, so I'm good there. Cable's out of the way. Fish finder's fired up, so I think we're good. So I can give a green light to running the wire through there and hard wiring it in and changing the a fitting so it matches my other ones. All right, let's load up and get on out of here before the no-see-ums and mosquitoes kill me. Oh no, it's reading again. Yeah, it's a bit of a swampy mess out there anyway, so I found out what I wanted to find out. So we'll take it out on the trip and see what it does on the open water. Hey everybody, how we doing today? Beautiful day here in the Florida Keys. A little bit overcast, but really we're out here to test drive the fish finder with the transducer setup. Got it rigged out of the water at the moment, but it's all hooked up and ready to go. So let's head on out to some open water and give it a test drive. All right, let's fire this baby up. Blink, flash. Oh, there it is. GPS mode. That's not okay. Position acquired. All right, so we're tracking there. Do some settings here. Waypoints on. All right, we're good. All right, so that's set. Let me, well, we're kind of skinny before I drop this down, but let me get it into the water real quick. So all it does, loosen there, twist down, lock it in, and we are in. And it's reading. Pretty accurate so far. Let's get to the, ooh, that don't look good. Now we're in a bunch of weeds, so I want to get in the channel here, and then it's a little bit more distinct bottom, but that's trash. See if it cleans up. Soft sandy bottom, that's looking better. I did a reset to get all the settings back just for it to start reading right. So I'll probably have to play with the settings to clean up all this garbage here, if it will. But that's a good sign. I might not have to buy a transducer after all. If it'll clean up. If it won't clean up, then all bets are off. But let me play with that a little bit here. Yeah, this thing is not reading worth a crap. Just playing with the settings a bit. See, we're in the deeper section here, probably 5-6+ feet, and it's not reading it. General use, that's what we want. Reset, reset. Let's see if my GPS coordinates are tracking. Yeah, they're tracking. So I've got my tracks, that's the main part, but just crap. Yeah, that I mean, it's probably reading somewhat correct. See if I shut it down, if it'll catch up. Cable. I cleaned the contacts, put the grease on it, but you can't fix a dead transducer, so yeah, see, it's not even reading anything. Yeah, it's not clicking, popping, or anything, so there's no signal going out. Dead puppy. Well, that at least makes me feel better that if I do pick up another transducer, it might actually work, and that it's not something wrong with the unit. It's literally not popping, so no signal, it's not going to read. All right, I'm going to unplug that guy and just take it off because it's unnecessary drag at the moment. All right, all loaded up. I got the fish finder still hooked up inside here, so let's see if we can do some highway tracking back to the house. All right, we're back. Let's take a look. Right now we're sitting at 196 foot here in my driveway. It's a very deep driveway. Let's back all the way out here. Oh, I'm way back out. All right, so there is what we did today. Yeah, so that's all. Well, this stuff is me going out to the reef. I pretty much did the inside there, this spot here, but this is kind of the way. So that's kind of all the stuff we went around and back to the launch, and then driving, we're driving, we're driving, we're driving, and took the back route, and we made it here. So, but that is the reason for the Jeep. Well, it's not really my tracks, but as I'm going to be fishing out in this area out here, kind of dead zones in regards to no islands, that's going to be important that I'll be able to set waypoints, all these different spots out here, because there's different distinct channels that run through out here, and I want to be able to find those, any structures, wrecks, and so forth. So I'll be able to put the waypoints like I do here for my offshore stuff out here, and then I can use this to basically guide me to it. So it works good. Very happy. Hey everybody, how we doing today? Bit of a stormy looking day, a little bit of drizzly, but we are going out to do a little bit of testing, maybe a little bait catching, and maybe a little bit of fishing. I saw, oh yeah, those guys are working it, so there's got to be pilchers there, so I might hit those first because I'm wanting to check out my new transducer. I went ahead and splurged the $100 and got the dual beam 50/83 hertz. So it's good for average use, but then the 50 hertz is good for deep waters over 1,000 feet, 1,200 feet or something like that. So I wanted to just get that. I don't know for sure that this fish finder is it's working, but I'm hoping there's no issue with reading the transducer, because I cut up the other one that was not working for sure, but it might have been working and this is bad. But that's what we're going to find out today, make sure I made the right choice, and yeah, just go from there, just depending on the storms here. So that's the plan. Here's my bracket for the transducer. Sits perfectly perpendicular. I've got it wedged against this, wedged against that, so I don't have to worry about it coming out. It's got a quick release twist and pull out, so quick and easy to do. And yeah, so I'm gonna hook everything up and then we're gonna give it a test drive. All right, it started working. So now we're reading. Ah, happy days. I was kind of crapping it because I was all basing it on that the transducer was bad on my last one. I actually cut off the end so I could use it as a waterproof plug in the back. So that was definitely gone for. Then I bought this new one for $100 and then it didn't work, and I was like, holy crap. The other one was probably fine and I cut it up. So I would have been $200 in the hole and no fish finder, but it popped up, so we're working. I think what I'll do is go to one of the main channels and find a little bit of deeper water, so we can see if this thing is reading. All right, mess with the sensitivity a bit. I still need to adjust it, but that's a lot cleaner for now. Close the dialogue. Now we're just drifting, so reading pretty clean. I could probably go even more sensitivity, but before it was just washed out, both top and bottom. But look pretty clean, very happy, registering. So yeah, very good. Then well, that's not right. We want GPS working, split screen, looking clean, very happy, working good, very happy. So yeah, all right, let me go move to a better spot. All right, I'm done playing with this thing. Transducer working good. Changed the settings to clean it up a bit so it's not as sensitive. So a lot of this is just leaves in the water that are floating mid-water column. There could be a fish in there, but I doubt it. The only issue that I'm having is this thing powers off after 3 or 4 minutes. It just shuts off. I don't know what the cause is. I did a cursory plug in, unplug. I did the battery terminals, but they're pretty clean, but I just on and off just to see. So I don't know, maybe do a hard reset when I get home. I think it's hold these two and the power button or something like that, but that's not good. It's not horrible because it boots up pretty quick, but then I lose my settings and it's a pain in the ass. So I definitely have to work on being able to power multiple items with just the one battery, so I don't have to bring 2 batteries each time. I thought it wasn't going to be an issue, but I didn't think about this, that there's pilchards all over, but I want to use the fish finder to find bottom structure or schools of fish, but I can't do that the way I've got it rigged unless I brought a second battery. So I think we're going to mosey on out of here, call it quits on this guy. Hopefully that shut-off issue can resolve itself, or I could figure it out. It's got to be a battery. It's either internal here, which I'm screwed, or it's a power issue or ground issue, so whatever. And at 5 knots, running pretty clean. Transducer working there. Got a bit of drag I don't really care for, but not a big deal. But that power situation is still a problem. Well, I had a dream, and that dream is dead. Just like this fish finder. Yeah, it was going from working fine to this last trip out on the video. I was getting about 5 minutes. Worked perfectly fine, and then it would just shut off randomly. Well, not randomly, it was 5 minutes. I couldn't figure it out. Then I was playing with it, and it went down to like 2 minutes. Then down to about a minute to booting up and then shutting off. and then finally it would just boot to a white screen, then die instantly. And from there, I just knew it was dead. So now I'd have to press the button like 10 times just for it to kind of boot up and shut down. And so, yeah, goner. I went ahead and took it apart just to see if maybe there was some corrosion or a weld had broken somewhere on one of the contacts, and then I could fix that. But it was clean on the inside. It was amazing. It was just spotless, so there was nothing there. Somewhere along the power supply, I don't know what capacitor or something in there is on the motherboard is bad. So I went online and I could probably buy another whole fish finder like this that has like a cracked screen for, I've seen them as low as $50 with an average of about 75 to 100. And then I could take the motherboard out of that one because it has a cracked screen and replace it with this one, since I could separate it fairly easily. And I'd say 75% chance it would work. Well, it would just depend on the other fish finder if that one worked. I know this one was working fine, the screen and everything else. It was just the power circuitry was bad, but I don't know. The reason why I was still, I wanted to use this old one, and I'm still considering replacing the circuit board on this one, is that the maps that come pre-supplied with it are at least 10 times better on this old model than the new models. I think they went that old route of kind of like razors. They'll give you the razor for free, knowing that you're going to spend a lifetime buying blades. Where on the fish finders, they give you such an archaic basic map, it's almost unusable. So you have to go out and spend a couple $100 to get the external add-on map source for the fish finder. I would say, like, for example, where I use it the most is on the edge of the reef, where it goes from 40 down to 100. This one would have probably 10 or more delineating contour lines. So it'd be 40, 42, 48, 50, 52. And they would also have it where you could have it spread out, meaning that it was a gradual decline, or that it would be like a very short, a bunch of contours real close, so it's easy to see that that's a drop off a ledge. So all those spots, inshore, offshore, out on the wrecks, had a lot of delineation, so you could really see when there's a good ledge, and that's so important. Where the new one has, from 40 to 100, has 2 marks. So what good is that? Yeah, it's 40 up here, and then over here it's 100 foot. And everything in between is, I don't know. So it was like, oh crap. So that was my plan, is for my offshore kayak, even though I had it reversed, I was going to reverse them and put my old one on my offshore kayak and put the new one on my inshore one, because I just needed waypoints and be able to go to those waypoints, and the new one can do that fine. I don't need contours. And then I would have this one, plus it has all my old tracks and marks on it from when I did offshore stuff. But it died. So that's where we're at. The dream is over.